Hello. Today I am doing a book review on An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. And this is going to be less of a book review and more of a gush. I feel like I'm just going to be gushing about it for the next 5 to 7 minutes. Don't worry, this is going to be spoiler free, just like basically all of my book reviews. Where do I start? I love this book. I'm giving it all the stars. All of them. Okay, I guess I can start by telling you what it's about. So, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is about this girl named April who is walking home from work at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York and comes across this sculpture that was not there before. She almost walks by it, but then she thinks, maybe I should actually give this some attention and, you know, give a shout out to whoever the artist is, because they put a lot of work into it and they want people to admire and appreciate their work. So she calls her friend Andy, who is trying to become a YouTube star, and tells him to bring his camera and everything to in front of this Chipotle that she's at where this random statue is. And they film a silly video of her interviewing it and they name it Carl. She gets home at 4 o'clock in the morning. She's like, I'm going to bed. I'm real tired. Don't wake me up till noon. And by noon, the video that Andy posted has over 1 million views because this was not the only Carl to show up. There are 63 other Carls in 63 other countries, and they all showed up at the exact same time. And there are lots of videos over the internet sharing these other Carls that showed up in other countries, but the one that Andy and April made has gotten the most popular, and it's got millions of views and continually growing. So, this book is about 2 main things, and the first thing is about April becoming famous overnight and increasingly getting more and more famous and how she deals with that. And it's about these Carls. Where did they come from? What are they here for? What is happening? A lot of weird things are happening. And it's about all the weird things that happen as well. And that's all I can tell you without spoiling it or giving too much away. It's just fantastic. So, first of all, this book was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I laughed out loud so many times. There were a few scenes that made me laugh, like, hysterically for over a minute. It's so well done. It gets into April, like, so deeply and so well that you super understand her. That's a great sentence. Most things that April goes through, I have never experienced. But I totally understood her, and I got where she was coming from, and I understood what she was going through, and the ways that she reacted to things were so realistic. I feel like most people would act the way that she did in all of the situations that she was in. The other characters were also great, but because April was the one telling the story, we get more of April. I really liked that throughout the story, a few times closer to the beginning of the book, there were a few punchy random sentences that ended a paragraph or a chapter that made you completely question what the book was going to be about or what was going to happen. And they would just make you go like, what? What is going to happen? How can you end a chapter like that? And then continue the next chapter as if that sentence wasn't mentioned. The other thing that I really liked about the way April told the story was that she's telling the story as if she's the one writing the book and Hank is not the one writing the book. It's as if April is the one writing the book or she's telling us this story, and she includes information that she finds out later that she did not know at the time of the story. And I really liked that about it. I thought it was funny and interesting because she could be like, oh, and at this time in the story, I didn't actually know that this is the thing that was happening, but this is the thing that happened over in this area when this happened, and that's what this means. But I didn't know that, so this is what I did. And I really liked that about it. The other thing that I really loved about it was all the weirdness surrounding the Carls. Like, it was a lot of really weird stuff that happened. Like, super weird. But the way the story was written and the way everything unraveled and unfolded, like, yeah, it was fracking weird, but it wasn't. Because of the way everything was handled, the way people were reacting to it, the way people talked about it, it was so realistic. It was so, like, plausible that this could happen in our world today, right now. Even though this stuff was so weird, it was just not weird, even though it was weird. because of how well and amazingly the story was put together and constructed. So there's a lot of really intense stuff that happens, like absurd stuff happens in this story that's ridiculous. But you're reading it and never once are you thinking, wow, this is stupid and ridiculous, this would never happen. You're like, oh my god, this is what's happening! And it makes total sense, and you don't question it. You're just like, yeah, this is the stuff that's happening. Of course it's happening, because of the Carls. Of course, this is what would happen. What I loved so much about it was that it took something seemingly so ridiculous and made it something so realistic and plausible and interesting and exciting and intense, with likable characters and real characters, realistic characters who are reacting to all the weird stuff in ways that most people would react. It just made it this like really fun, really exciting, really intense story that was so well done, and I just wanted to live inside this book forever. Like, I wish I had better words to describe how amazing this book is. Like, everything is so well done about how April is dealing with everything that's going on and her friends and the new friends that she makes and why and how, all in relation to the weird, absurd stuff that's happening surrounding the Carls. And there were some things that with the Carls that were like super personal, and there was like really sweet moments that, like, out of context would seem weird. I'm going with the weird thing again, but within the story, not weird. Super relatable, super understandable, super touching. Like, I just can't. Like, I can't think of, like, frig. I read this book 3 days ago now, and I've written my Goodreads review, which I feel like is articulated better than I'm doing right now. But I feel like also the fact that I'm having such difficulty putting into words how much I loved it goes to say how amazing it was, because it just made me feel so much that I can't begin to explain how it made me feel and how much it made me feel, because it was so good. And there was so much of it that was so good. The way the story's told, what it's about, how everything unravels, like, I feel like I've never read anything like this before. And it's so good and so well done. Like, first of all, how is this Hank's first book? Has he been secretly writing books for his whole life and he just decided this is the one that he's going to publish? Is that what happened? Because how? It's amazing. And I want everyone to read it. I want it to be everyone's favorite book, and I don't want to stop gushing about it because I want everyone to understand how amazing it is, but at the same time I don't want to hype it up too much so that you're disappointed when you read it. But, like, you should think it's as amazing as I do because it's amazing. I'm just going to keep repeating myself if I keep talking. So I guess I'll end the review here, but you need to read this book. It's amazing. It's amazing. Just read it.